21-24. When he lay fast asleep she drove a long nail through his temples, so fastened his head to the ground, and killed him. v. 21. And, though this was enough to do the business, yet, to make sure work, if we translate it rightly, ch. 526, she cut off his head, and left it nailed there. Whether she designed this or no when she invited him into her tent does not appear. Probably the thought was darted into her mind when she saw him lie so conveniently to receive such a fatal blow, and, doubtless, the thought brought with it evidence sufficient that it came not from Satan as a murderer and destroyer, but from God as a righteous judge and avenger. So much of brightness and heavenly light did she perceive in the inducements to it that offered themselves, the honor of God and the deliverance of Israel, and nothing of the blackness of malice, hatred, or personal revenge. It was a divine power that enabled her to do it, and inspired her with a more than manly courage. What if her hand should shake, and she should miss her blow? What if he should awake when she was attempting it? Or suppose some of his own attendants should follow him, and surprise her in the face, how dearly would she and all hers be made to pay for it? Yet, obtaining help of God, she did it effectually. It was a divine warrant that justified her in the doing of it, and therefore, since no such extraordinary commissions can now be pretended, it ought not in any case to be imitated. The laws of friendship and hospitality must be religiously observed, and we must abhor the thought of betraying any whom we have invited and encouraged to put a confidence in us. And, as to this act of jail, like that of Ehud in the chapter before, we have reason to think she was conscious of such a divine impulse upon her spirit to do it as did abundantly satisfy herself, and it ought therefore to satisfy us, that it was well done. God's judgments are a great deep. The instrument of this execution was a nail of the tent, that is, one of the great pins with which the tent, or the stakes of it, were fastened. They often removing their tents, she had been used to drive these nails, and therefore knew how to do it the more dexterously on this great occasion. He that thought to destroy Israel with his many iron chariots is himself destroyed with one iron nail. Thus do the weak things of the world confound the mighty. See here Jael's glory and Sisera's shame. The great commander dies in his sleep, fast asleep, and weary. It comes in as a reason why he stirred not, to make resistance. So fettered was he in the chains of sleep that he could not find his hands. Thus the stout-hearted are spoiled at thy rebuke, O God of Jacob. They are cast into a dead sleep, and so are made to sleep their last. Let not the strong man then glory in his strength, for when he sleeps where is it? It is weak, and he can do nothing. A child may insult him then, and steal his life from him, and yet if he sleep not he is soon spent and weary, and can do nothing either. Those words which we here put in a parenthesis, for he was weary, all the ancient versions read otherwise, he struggled, or started, as we say, and died, so the Syriac and Arabic, exagitant cc mortuus est. Consociens morts operum, so the vulgar Latin, joining sleep and death together, seeing they are so near akin. He fainted and died. He dies with his head nailed to the ground, an emblem of his earthly mindedness. O curvin terram animo. His ear, says Bishop Hall, was fastened close to the earth, as if his body had been listening what had become of his soul. He dies by the hand of a woman. This added to the shame of his death before men, and had he but known it, as Abimelech, ch. 954, we may well imagine how much it would have added to the vexation of his own heart. 2. The glory and joy of Israel hereupon. 1. Barak their leader finds his enemy dead, v. 22, and no doubt, he was very well pleased to find his work done so well to his hand, and so much to the glory of God and the confusion of his enemies. Had he stood too nicely upon a point of honor, he would have resented it as an affront to have the general slain by any hand but his, but now he remembered that this diminution of his honor he was sentenced to undergo, for insisting upon Deborah's going with him, the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman, though then it was little thought that the prediction would be fulfilled in such a way as this. 2. Israel is completely delivered out of the hands of Jabin king of Canaan, v 23, 24. They not only shook off his yoke by this day's victory, but they afterwards prosecuted the war against him, till they had destroyed him, he and his nation being by the divine appointment devoted to ruin and not to be spared. The Israelites, having soundly smarted for their foolish pity in not doing it before, resolved now it is in their power to indulge them no longer, but to make a thorough riddance of them, as a people to whom to show mercy was as contrary to their own interest as it was to God's command, and probably it is with an eye to the sentence they were under that this enemy is named 3 times here in these last 2 verses, and called King of Canaan, for as such he was to be destroyed, and so thoroughly was he destroyed that I do not remember to read of the kings of Canaan any more after this. The children of Israel would have prevented a great deal of mischief if they had sooner destroyed these Canaanites, as God had both commanded and enabled them, but better be wise late, and by wisdom by experience, than never wise.